Gabby, you have a very meaningful job because you work in mental health and you took the leadership class, and even your internship in part when before you graduated had to do with mental health. So mental health is something that you felt very strongly about. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about why you chose this particular field. What drew you in about the mental health field?
While I was in college, I was a behavior technician. So I worked with kids on the spectrum a lot, and seeing the impacts of how, the team that works around those children make a significant impact on their lives, but also their families' lives. I wanted to see myself make that same kind of impact. And, I didn't want to just make it exclusively to autism, but mental health in general is very important because it impacts not just your mind, but your body too. And to treat it as if it's a very important part of your life and your body is very important to me.
Really awesome that you've chosen to stay in the mental health field now.
Mm-hmm.
Think what we want to focus on today is emotional intelligence, which is a very, very large topic. But let's focus specifically how you have used the concepts of emotional intelligence from our leadership course and how you were able to use those right away in your internship and in the work that you now do full time. So take it away. Let me know what you think.
So when I was learning about emotional intelligence through your class, and from my experiences, I found that the four fundamentals of emotional intelligence were very important when it came to self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. And it's so awesome to see how they're fundamentals. So it's like they build on each other. And there were times where I've had communication with my team or with clients where, starting at those fundamentals and seeing the self-awareness, sometimes a remark is said to me or a task is given to me. And I'm like, okay, well, checking with myself, how do I react to this? What do I say? Thinking of things that, is like, and learning our love languages too, learning how to interact and seeing, checking myself and what I'm communicating to them as appropriate, or will they see it this way? Will they see it that way? And just maintaining that rapport between your team and your client is so important, and seeing all those things interact with each other. And it's so awesome to know that, oh my God, Tatiana taught me this, Professor Rodriguez did. And I was like, she's
Well,
right.
I have to tell you, like I have this smile from ear to ear, just even hearing you mention and remember those four elements that
Mm-hmm.
we discussed in class. And let's start with self-awareness, which is this area of recognizing our own emotions. I know what I'm feeling, and I know what my strengths and limitations are.
Yes.
Were there moments in your job where you found yourself saying, okay, I am feeling a certain type of way about this thing?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's one of those things where, especially when I have to be aware of my emotions, people always say you have to, separate personal life and your work life. But that's not human. Sometimes we have that kind of baggage that we bring with us from our personal life. And, people say, check it at the door, but it's not something that you should ignore either. It's something where, you address with yourself and you're aware of it. And it's okay to be honest. Sometimes you can talk to a team member and say, hey, sorry, I've been acting a little bit weird today. I'm just going through a lot, and I appreciate your patience with me. I appreciate that you asked how I'm doing.
You mentioned something really important
Mm-hmm.
about people expect you to check your feelings at the door and all that. And I also disagree with that mentality because we bring a whole person with us to work. We don't leave part of it elsewhere. What I think the intention behind those messaging is, don't take out whatever's going on outside of work on the people at work. And to
Yeah.
me, that's where it comes back to emotional intelligence again, starting with self-awareness. Like, okay, I know that I'm not feeling right because of this other thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to put a pause on that and deal with it, work on it. But I'm not going to take it out on you, Gabby, my colleague, because I'm having a problem at home with the family. The next logical thing after self-awareness is this self-management step two, because we can know something and be aware of it and still choose an inappropriate course of action. However, most of
Mm-hmm.
the time when you're developing your emotional intelligence, the idea is, I know what I'm feeling, and this is why I'm not going to do this, or why I am intentionally going to take this step instead. For example, I know I'm really stressed right now, so that meeting, I'm going to need to take a 10-minute walk before I go into that meeting. Something as simple as that, having that self-management. And also, I think that the self-management piece, and Daniel Goleman talks about this as well, this is where we operate from places of integrity and from our core values, like our choices. I believe that these are my principles, so I'm going to act according to those, even if I feel a certain way. Is there anything you want to add to self-management specifically? Like, are there some times when you've been at work where you've needed to take a pause and then manage your own feelings?
Definitely. Especially now as I'm working as a residential counselor, there are times where, you develop a type of frustration when you're dealing with clients, and, it's something that's not unique necessarily in healthcare in general too, and especially in a field of mental health and working with patients that have a variety of different mental health disorders such as schizophrenia, anxiety, depression. Sometimes, you have to be aware of your emotions, and in terms of self-management with that, dealing with frustrations and communications with people, I've learned different coping mechanisms which help a lot. Breathing exercises were one of the things that I've learned and I've read up about.
Actually, that leads into the next one, Gabby, which is having
Mm-hmm.
empathy too, right? Being able
Yeah.
to take a genuine interest in the feelings and concerns of other people, and knowing, you know what, if I say this, it's not really what I mean because I'm upset, and it's also going to be harmful to this other person. How have you seen being empathetic beneficial? How has that either increased something in your own life, or uh, specifically at work? How has being an empathetic minded person helped you?
It really humanizes these people, because when you think of mental health and you think of people with schizophrenia or like antisocial personality disorder, multiple personality disorder, there's a stigma to it. There's media that tells you, oh, these people are crazy, you can't understand what's going on in their head, and that there's something like wrong with them just on a biological level. And when you talk with them and you have that sense of empathy, it really grounds you to thinking, hey, sometimes I feel like that, and I understand, like, maybe their way of controlling themselves is very different from how I control myself, but ultimately we have very similar feelings.
And that's exactly where it begins, is you're able to have more understanding, more empathy. Therefore, you can make contributions to this field that will help take stigmas away. Just very often those negative messaging come from people who've never been through it or never had a family member who's been through it. Let's head over to the fourth step, which is now relationship management. We did
Mm-hmm.
self-awareness, self-management, empathy, which is other awareness, and this last step is now managing our relationships with other
Mm-hmm.
people. Now this is the part where there's a contribution back and forth, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm investing in you, you're investing in me. We can we can have difficult conversations, we can resolve conflict, we have influence, we're
Yes.
able to help others make decisions, we're coming from a good place, and we get to work together towards some shared goal, some shared mission.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear a little bit about how you've managed relationships at work. Let's start with your peers, with your coworkers. We've talked a lot about direct work with the people that you serve. How about in
Yes.
terms of managing relationships with your peers, and how's it been for you, being a fairly recent graduate,
Mm-hmm.
coming into a field as the newbie, the shiny new coins on the scene
Yeah.
at work?
Yeah.
How has that been with different generations?
So definitely in my field, especially working in a group home as I'm working at, you definitely work with so many different types of people. You work with, you work with clinical coordinators, you work with social workers, you also work with people who maintain the home, down to that. You work with people who are directors, higher ups, HR. It's just a lot of different networks and connections, and they're all different ages. So I definitely feel it as like a newbie coming into this environment, and they're just like, oh, it's fresh meat. So my interactions with them, it's definitely been a lot of learning on my part. So listening is one of the biggest things I've had to do in relationship management, because I have to also be aware that I have my own beliefs or ideas of how I would handle a certain situation at work, but I also know that they've been there for a really long time. And it's important for me to also listen to what they have to say. So
Right.
it's recognizing we're still reaching that common goal. I may be approaching it differently, but we're still reaching that same goal. And, that really clicks.
One of the key tenets of relationship management is knowing we've got this in common, and this is what keeps us together. Basically, this is the thing that we're always going to come back to that unites us. And in your case with your coworkers, it would be providing excellent service to your clients, to your population. Yes. And two great resources, we talked about the work of Daniel Goleman on emotional intelligence. You can find tons of stuff from him. And then the second one is this book, Rookie Smarts, by Liz Wiseman. It's Weiss, M-A-N, like W-I-S-E-M-A-N. So Daniel Goleman and Liz Wiseman, two great resources for anybody that want to continue learning on the topics that we've been talking about today. Gabby, if you could summarize your message in one sentence, at the end of the day, what is the thing that you want people who are listening to your message today to remember?
That we ourselves are very human, and it's okay to feel human, and it's okay to be human at work. It's remembering that we are human, and how we talk to other people that makes such an impact in their lives and our lives.
I like what you said. That's a powerful message. And if you had to put it on a t-shirt, so you had very few words, what would you put on the t-shirt?
I mean, I think it's a very basic saying, but treat others how you would treat yourself.
Right. That makes me think of a concept where in our relationships, a person who has developed their emotional intelligence skills, they're not going to be interested in winning the argument. The interest is in maintaining a good relationship, having a healthy relationship. So it's not a competition. And I think when our emotional intelligence isn't as developed, our self-esteem isn't as strong, we want to win, because that signals something that we have this power in the conversation or power in the relationship. But as you gain experience, as you get older, you realize, who cares about winning? This is about making it right. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It is about having a good relationship. That's important. And in a field like yours, mental health, I mean, it is so easy to get burned out. Anything to do with healthcare in general or service fields, it's very easy to get burned out, Gabby. And self-care really matters to me, and it's a message I love to share with everybody who will listen. So what is the most recent thing that you did for yourself that was for fun, that was good for you, that was to take good care of yourself?
I went out of my way. I think a couple weeks ago, I went to the beach, and it was 5 a.m. and I wanted to see a sunrise. And I don't know what it is about like sunrises or like having to dredge yourself up and get ready and go to this, but it gives me such a calmness, and it makes me feel like everything is starting new. And whatever happened yesterday happens yesterday, but being present.
You're inspiring me, because I love sunrises and sunsets. It is quite difficult to get up, you're right, but you're inspiring me that would actually be a very beautiful thing to do as well. I took myself to the beach recently also for a much needed break. Now you got me thinking about a sunrise. My last question for you, Gabby. I want to know if you could go back in time to talk to your 18-year-old self. So right when you're about to start college, you have 15 seconds to talk to 18-year-old Gabby. What do you say in those 15 seconds?
Don't be so hard on yourself. I know everybody tells you to the same thing, not to be hard on yourself, but as future you, and from 4 years ago, it's so much more important, and you'll see the differences, and you are so worthy of it. So worthy. Don't ever think that you're not worth the care for yourself, but you are worth it, and you're so valuable. And I want you to see that in yourself, and it will show in whatever you do.
That messaging took me a very long time to learn myself, which is why I feel so strongly about sharing it with you guys. So I'm so thrilled to hear you be so strong in your conviction and your belief that would be the messaging to yourself, and that you've gotten the message, that you're living your life taking really good care of yourself, and especially understanding that you are worth it 100%.
It's
What a
just
great
such a
message.
hard thing to forget, you know? And it took almost all of college to really learn that. And going to your class, I was like, oh my gosh, she gets it. I just felt like such a powerful message from being in your class. And you were one of the most memorable professors I think I've ever had at Rutgers. Really,
Oh,
like,
thank you,
it made such
Gabby.
an, like Professor Rodriguez, I don't think you know, but like you really make an impact on us, like in future generations when we're working, when we communicate to people, you know, we think of your class and we just take so much from it. And it's very valuable, the things that you're teaching. And I love that you're doing this and you're really trying.
Hey, oh, can't fight back these tears. I tried, but it's not happening.
I know, it's hard.
So, thank you so much. That's why I do it. Honestly, Gabby, moments like this remind me that this is why I do this. And it took me more than 30 years to get the lesson. So if me being able to talk about it in the college classrooms with you guys shortens that time, my life has purpose, my life has mission. And I think this is one of the reasons why I'm here, is to be able to share this kind of content with you and to give you guys voice to be able to continue to share it with others, because it doesn't just stop with us. Oh, amazing. I appreciate this talk has done a lot for myself as well, Gabby. So thank you immensely for joining us today. And I want to wish you all the best as you continue to work with people in the mental health field and develop your career and your skills and your own emotional intelligence. And I love hearing from you and seeing the work that you're doing and how you're helping to make a change for others too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.